Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is technically still playing out this bearish divergence, the price of Bitcoin is right now bouncing from this important area of support here in the short term, as Michael Saylor just recently announced that MicroStrategy bought hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin again. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today. And well, this actually came out yesterday because it came out right after I posted my last Bitcoin video. But essentially, Michael Saylor is once again announcing that MicroStrategy bought even more Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy is continuing to buy more and more Bitcoin, no matter what the price is, whether we're in a bear market or a bull market, MicroStrategy is still buying Bitcoin. And so with this latest purchase, MicroStrategy bought around 5,262 Bitcoin for over $500 million, around $560 million at an average price of around 106.6K. So they actually bought close to the local high as of right now, close to the all-time high as of right now for the price of Bitcoin. But of course, their average purchase price for all of their Bitcoin under MicroStrategy is at around 62,000 per Bitcoin. And so overall, MicroStrategy has obviously still made a significant amount of profits on their current Bitcoin holdings from when they first started to buy Bitcoin. And as of right now, MicroStrategy as a company holds over 444,000 Bitcoin. And so really, no matter what the Bitcoin charts do or say, while massive players like this are continuing to buy more and more Bitcoin, over the long term, over years in Bitcoin price history, this will ultimately force the price of Bitcoin to the upside as there's less Bitcoin to go around. If there's less Bitcoin in circulation while demand keeps up, while massive players like this are continuing to buy more Bitcoin, that will ultimately force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside over the longer term. And so when it comes to Bitcoin in particular, just keep that in mind. Bitcoin as a very scarce asset has very much a long-term bullish future based on the fundamentals of Bitcoin, despite short-term fluctuations in the price of Bitcoin on the price charts. Obviously, even a bear market could be considered a short-term fluctuation if you zoom out over, say, a 10-year time frame. So just keep that in mind. Right now, fundamentally speaking, Bitcoin is currently looking bullish over the very long term, despite what charts might say in the somewhat shorter term. But with that being said, taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, technically speaking, we're still due to see this bull market signal continue to play out into 2025, because if we're looking at the last two times we've seen this bull market signal confirm, we've seen a bull market in the price of Bitcoin, a bull run for at least the next 1 year approximately following that bull run signal, and we only saw this signal confirm roughly around 3 months ago. And of course, as I've been saying since back then, around 3 months ago at much lower prices, during these larger bull runs, of course, we can see short-term dumps along the way. It's not a straight line to the upside, so keep that in mind. We can see little pullbacks along the way, like what we saw over the last 1 week or so during a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, the MACD is still looking bullish. It's still sitting in the green, but of course, it has been losing some bullish momentum just over the last couple of weeks here, which I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. So this just means the price is slowing down in the short term during a larger bull run. And if we're comparing it to 1 year ago, we saw something very similar 1 year ago. And obviously, if you've been watching my recent videos here on the channel, you'd know that I've also been talking about this as well, where last October, back in October 2023, we saw a bullish crossover in this indicator on the same time frame, just like what we saw in October this year. And then what came next in both of these circumstances right here was a bull run in the price of Bitcoin with almost no pullbacks over the next few months up until around early to mid-December. And then we started to lose some bullish momentum last time around early to mid-December, exactly like this time. And then ultimately, what came next, if we're looking at a year ago, we saw a lot of choppy sideways price action, basically a sideways consolidation consisting of short-term dumps and short-term bounces back to the upside, chopping around sideways for the next 1 month, give or take, from this point onwards. And then it was near the end of January, we finally started to pick up more bullish momentum and continue the larger bull run. And now, obviously, just because that happened last time, it does not guarantee we're going to see the exact same thing play out this time around. So keep that in mind. But this is just looking at what happened previously based on this signal and a similar signal right now playing out with this bullish crossover and the loss in bullish momentum, just to show what could be a likely scenario in the coming weeks or months. And if we're taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish market. So ultimately, these three charts right here on the larger time frames are still all pointing in the bullish direction when it comes to the larger bullish market. But this chart right here, once again, is pointing towards a bit of a short-term cool-off for potentially another few weeks or so before the continuation of the bull run later, maybe in a month from now, for example. And this Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame also supports a similar outcome. Essentially, we have a massive bearish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin chart, as I talked about in my last Bitcoin video. And so this means we're likely going to see a slowdown in bullish momentum. And so once again, this supports this chart right here. And so simply based on all of these Bitcoin charts on the weekly time frame that I've been talking about here on the channel, the most likely outcome based on all of those charts is a continued slowdown in the short term, maybe for a number of weeks or so, potentially up until, once again, the second half of January, if we're going off what happened a year ago with some choppy sideways price action in the short term. So short-term pullbacks and short-term bounces, basically chopping around sideways before potentially continuing the larger bull run later on. That is one of the most likely outcomes based on all of these charts. And of course, that's also based on this chart right here, because as I explained in my last Bitcoin video, we can't rely everything on just one chart by itself. We need to pay attention to many different charts, patterns, indicators, signals, etc. in order to find out what is the most likely outcome for the price of Bitcoin. And so as I even shared in my last Bitcoin video, even though yes, this is technically a major warning signal on the weekly Bitcoin chart, one possibility could be a little bit more of a slowdown here for a number of weeks or possibly a month, and then another push higher in the bull market. And then let's just say the bull market tops out on that next major push higher. That could form another higher high in the price, while the RSI forms another lower high, basically creating an even larger bearish divergence. And then at that point, maybe somewhere mid-2025, we could start another bear market. And so that is also a likely outcome in the coming months going into 2025, once again, because we've not confirmed the end of the bull market despite this bearish divergence, as I also explained in my last video. So ultimately, we're still technically within a larger bull market. We're just due to see a bit of a slowdown potentially for another few weeks. And while we're getting ready for that next major move in the price of Bitcoin, definitely make sure to get set up ready to go over on an exchange so that you can take these trading opportunities when they start to occur. And personally, I take a lot of my trades right now over on BTNX. So make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is an exclusive deposit bonus that you can only claim using that link. So if you simply just click that link to make your account and then deposit $100 worth of crypto and start trading, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit $500, you get a $100 bonus. Or if you deposit just 1,000 USDT and start trading, you get $200 straight into your new BTNX account. But once again, that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your account and start trading on that account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX, there is also Bybit as another option out there, another exchange I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get a 500 USDT position airdrop, but that is only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account. But with that being said, taking a look at this Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame, right now we still have a lot of resistance at close to 102,000 based on this Fibonacci level, because right now obviously we have broken back below 102,000 with that latest weekly candle close. And so that's still an important level to watch out for on the Bitcoin price chart. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, technically speaking, this bearish divergence on the daily Bitcoin chart is still active, as I've been talking about since this first red daily candle close right here. I've been sharing this bearish divergence, warning you that it's very likely we could see a bit of a short-term pullback, or at the very least some choppy sideways price action. So a slowdown or a setback in the short term as the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And since I started warning that here on the channel around a week ago, obviously we've seen that exactly as expected here in the short term. And so this also supports the theory that we will likely continue to see a little bit of a short-term cool-off, a slowdown during the bull run for potentially another few weeks or so, especially based on this bearish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin chart, before possibly then breaking out and invalidating these bearish divergences to potentially form a much larger bearish divergence later on in 2025 to continue that bull run in the meantime. And if we're taking a look at this 12-hour Bitcoin chart, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is currently bouncing from a key level of support, which is that 92K level. In fact, we bounced from just above 92,000, as we can see, closer towards around 92.4K. Right now, that is acting as major support here in the short term. So right now, in between around 91,500 to really 92,500, that is currently acting as a major area of support here in the short term. And that level of support is mainly based on previous support in the price of Bitcoin and also the volume profile indicator showing quite a lot of support at around 91 to 92,000. And now if we were to break below that area on the price chart, if we confirmed, for example, a daily candle close back below around 91,000, in that case, the next major level of support is sitting closer towards around 87,000. But for now, once again, 91 to 92K is currently major support here in the short term. And as for short-term resistance, we do have this area to watch out for based on the volume profile indicator sitting in between around 96.8K to close to 98K. So around basically 97 to 98,000. That is potentially short-term resistance, at least based on the volume profile indicator. But if we can get back above 98,000, obviously in the immediate short term, that would be a bullish signal. But we still have resistance closer towards 100,000 right here based on this previous line of support now acting as new resistance, and above 100,000. Once again, we still have that strong level right here on the weekly time frame at around 102,000. But if the price of Bitcoin can finally start breaking out above 100,000, and especially if we can break out above 102,000 with candle closes above those levels, in that case, we can finally start flipping much more bullish again in the short term after this short-term pullback has obviously right now played out. And so in other words, if we can confirm a breakout above 102,000, next I would honestly expect another test of the all-time high closer towards 107K to 108K as another possible point of resistance. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, as of right now, we still have a lot of liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin. Of course, we do have some right now building to the downside at around 92,000, but we still have most of the liquidity to the upside spread out amongst different levels, as we can see. So we have a major point of liquidity at just underneath $100,000 per Bitcoin. So as I just mentioned, if we break out above 100,000 in the short term, that would simply be a bullish signal because we'll be breaking out above this previous point of resistance right here, and also liquidating short positions, which can add buying pressure to the price of Bitcoin, pushing the price higher. And above 100,000, we have more liquidity at just underneath 103,000 and more liquidity in between around 105,500 to nearly 106,500. So right around 106,000, we also have a decent amount of liquidity right there. And as always, if we cross to the upside above an area of liquidity, then in that case, that will liquidate short positions, possibly causing a short squeeze, and vice versa. If we cross to the downside below an area of liquidity, like below 91 to 92,000, that could possibly cause a long squeeze, pointing towards a further drop. So those are the levels of liquidity to watch out for on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, check out those links below this video to claim those extra bonuses over on those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today, other than Merry Christmas, obviously. And I'll see you all in my next video.